as stuttering and lag. Now, I'm just gonna throw this out there. It's kind of like every time there's a fix, the fix only lasts, seems like, for about a month or two, and then a Windows update comes out or a driver comes out, and somehow something breaks again. I'm not saying that it's the No Man's Sky developers or Microsoft, but I believe it is Microsoft and possibly the No Man's Sky developers taking too long to drop updates. Now, I'm not saying they should drop like update patches early or quick or fast or anything like that, but I do feel like that when there's at least a driver update, they need to make sure the game is properly being ID'd. I also know that network issues are a common issue with No Man's Sky. So if you're dealing with stutters and freezing, this is how I fixed it. Now, I'm not going to say this is going to fix it permanently. You see how fast my cursor is, right? Right. That's what my speed is. It's below the value. So it's at 4%, 8%. And then if you go to general, this is all the other basic stuff, but controls, this here is how I set my controls up. That's because the mouse cursor, if you have a high DP mouse that has over 3000 DPI, No Man's Sky will stutter and freeze because your mouse is doing too much pulling rate on the game. The game is rendering and running basically in your memory more than it is on your CPU. That's why this game is very memory intensive. In fact, I can hit the Windows G key. Well, I guess. Interesting. So yeah, the Windows G key don't work right now because I'm running OBS. Microsoft has put a warning out with high latency related to anything that is 365 Microsoft connectivity. Now, Microsoft 365 runs more than just Microsoft 365. Okay, Microsoft. I was also reading on the latency issue that so as you can see, they are working on making a fix for a Windows update. But I have been experiencing not boot failures, but shutdown failures. Now, as you can see, when you click on it, though, it's going to take you to the Microsoft 360 network status. From the network status, you can do your check. But no matter what, there is no such thing as a perfect machine. Like, you're always going to have some kind of weird issue out there. Is to fix this requires you going into your NVIDIA control panel. These are the only fixes that I found for No Man's Sky. For No Man's Sky, you're going to put the add and then select No Man's Sky, and then you're going to go through, and if you have the restore option available, just click it and restore your settings. Doesn't hurt to run that at least once. Reason why I recommend doing that, at least for the program settings of the application, is maybe there is a featured setting that could be theoretically bugged or glitched, that could be saying it's off when it's on or saying that it's on when it's off. Software and firmware tend to do weird things sometimes, especially if your computer's old, has a lot of stuff on it and it's slow. It may be experiencing more related setting issues where you have to go in and reset settings. That does happen sometimes. So this is what I set my application to. The image scaling actually does change. It can boost frame rate of your application if you actually turn the image scaling down. So I put my image scaling for No Man's Sky only at 50%. And then I put the game on performance and then performance. And as you can see, with all of those changes, The system now runs roughly at about 144 FPS solid. 1% lows stay solid. Right now the FPS bar is broke because of OBS. OBS does that. That is completely normal with OBS, and that's because OBS has taken priority over monitorization. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just the way computers are. It's going to pick what it should monitor the most of and what it should not. But as you can see, my flying is a little bit different. Definitely a little bit more work when flying, but I'm fine with that. As well as like when I'm actually playing the game actually does run much more smoother and doesn't seem to have them weird hiccups like it did before. Now, if the No Man's Sky developers could find a fix, I recommend them looking into pulling rate and possibly how the pulling rate could be affecting the memory of the game. Maybe the game and the pulling rate are both intertwining at some way somehow if the pulling rate is too high and the game is at a very high priority. But I don't know about how any of that works with their game and their code, because their game runs on a lot of servers. It runs on a lot of cloud servers as well now. It's no longer as local as it once was. You can make the game more local based by turning network off, and as you can see, by turning network off, that will give your game more online. You'll have to enable online services if your network is the problem. Now, if your network is the problem, then I recommend disabling network features when playing the game. If your network is not the problem, then you can leave it enabled, and the other 3 or 4 fixes that I showed should show the best method of resolving. Because the problem with this game is it isn't that there's a registry problem with Windows. It isn't any of that. I know a lot of people want to follow them tutorials on YouTube about changing files and registry tweaks and stuff like that. I don't recommend any of that because you can damage your system. And because of that, if you damage your system or install something corrupted, you'll be very upset. So it's always recommended to stick with what is the most basic fix before you move on to anything complex. And before you even move on to something complex, you should research the issue thoroughly and find out if there's more related issues instead of just your computer being the issue. Because the last thing you want is to do a bunch of tweaks and changes on your system, and then your computer actually crashing mid-game, crashing, trying to run basic tasks, and because you went and changed all these tweaks, now the system no longer responds correctly. It could also be process related. It could be entirely Windows causing interference with processing of the game. Trying to put the game on efficiency mode and the game puts itself back on main priority, and it could be a correlation issue with the game and Windows, and then it could be a development issue with either the development team of the game or the development team of Microsoft. So regardless which team it is that has to figure it out when it comes to games in general for Windows, be wise about what software you are installing and be cautious about what changes you are doing to your system. It does not hurt to screenshots of your system and make a folder dedicated to system screenshots and that, because that does help with system screenshots and repairs. Will give you a much better in-depth guide on what you've been changing on your system if you do any registry tweaks. The last thing you want to do is do a registry tweak that's going to damage your system. I hope this helped. Thanks for watching. Like or subscribe, and I will see you next time.